ready?
Sorry.
I'm ready for my close-up. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille.
You've always been there for our class. The original committee had you perform at a couple of different reunions. And then for our 70th birthday party, you were all ready to perform, but then he caught the COVID, which is the only reason he wasn't performing in the 70s. So he's always been there for us. And for those of you that don't know, the WID has had a very successful 40-plus year career of comedy in the Philly area.
Oh.
He's worked on stage with some very famous comics like Jonathan Winters and Robin Williams. So, Mike, we're really proud of you. And we're really glad that you're part of our class. So thank you so much. So here's how this evening is going to work. First, some of the people here haven't had a chance, even though he's been doing this for 40 years, to see the WID work. And so he's going to share some of his comedy with us to start us off. Then I'll have a series of questions to ask him to take us through his career and kind of get in some kind of depth as to what it's like to be a comic and why. And then at some point, I'll open the group up to some questions from you all. So if you have any questions, think about them. There'll be an opportunity in a little while to ask those. So if that's okay with everybody, the stage is yours.
Yikes. Hey, when they told me about this, I was pumped. All right. I'm not full of hot air right here. I want to thank everybody who came on Zoom. Okay. I've never been there. You see, I have an iPhone 1 right here. Okay. So if anybody needs to call me. All right. And it's, here's the New York Jets quarterback. Okay. Ooh, we can't find a receiver. Okay, sorry. What's the difference between the New York Jets and Captain Crunch? Captain Crunch belongs in a bowl. Okay, sorry. All right, you can use that at any team. All right, I can see people are getting mad right over there. All right. I'm going to tell you, a lot of my influences came from junk picking in Cranford, New Jersey. All right. And I've always found it to be a beautiful, beautiful place for junk picking. All right. It was right in the shadow of New York, and a lot of smart people were there. If you don't remember me, I have my high school yearbook picture right over here. Okay. You can see that there was, I got my teeth fixed, so I don't want to hurt my fillings. Okay, sorry. I'm right over here. But when I was growing up, this is who I identified as, okay, Jughead, all right? And, I'm telling you, my time in Cranford High School was the hardest 6 years of my life, okay? And I'm telling you, I was honor student. Yes, Your Honor. No, Your Honor. I didn't do it, Your Honor. Okay. They caught me one time. They caught me stealing calendars, okay? Don't laugh. I got 12 months, okay? So, right over there. What it's all about is to put, the happy mask on, okay? I feel that it is great therapy to hear other people laugh besides yourself. I've been doing it all my life. I'm a collector, okay? Well, I'm somewhere between a picker and a hoarder, okay? So if you got to know that. But, I like women, okay? I like two kinds of women, imported and domestic, okay? But I'm not married. Well, I got married in the garage. Yeah, I couldn't back out, okay? Sorry. Okay. No, but I met one young lady and or one woman, and at Planet Fitness, and we didn't work out. Okay. And then I had another lady that I met at the Philadelphia Zoo. Okay, and she's a keeper. Okay. And then I had an Italian girlfriend, and she left me, and she used to work in a bakery. And is she ever coming back? I can only hope. Okay, sorry. All right. I didn't mean that right over there. But I know how fast I'm talking and everything. So you can tell that I was addicted at one time. Yeah, I was addicted to soap. Yeah, I'm clean now. But that's how it got. Then I was addicted, honestly, to brake fluid. I thought I could stop. And, now I'm addicted to ATMs and I'm going through withdrawals. So that's it. I mean, I had a good job. I had a good job down in Florida. Okay. Yeah. I worked at an orange juice factory. They fired me because I couldn't concentrate. That's Pulp Fiction. I never had a job. Okay, get that one over there. But a lot of,
No, he's missing it.
oh my goodness. Hoop, there it is. Right over there. That's a thing. So a lot of things that my life, all revert back to Cranford, New Jersey and picking junk as a young child. Okay. What an idyllic place that Cranford, New Jersey was. Okay. We had a beautiful river running through it. Okay. We were in the shadow of Elizabeth, New Jersey. Okay. How can we not be proud? I know. I love New Jersey, but it cost me $15 in tolls to get there. Okay. From Philadelphia. $15. And I hate paying tolls. It's like throwing money out the window. Okay. Well, I guess you guys have Easy Pass. All right. I know that a lot of times, wondering why I have all this stuff. But when I was growing up, this right here, this was the only toy I had to play with. All right. And I would play with this toy, it's blue in the face. Okay. Right over there. Is it hot in here? Is it hot? Look. I'm baking. And here's for us up in North Jersey, right there, pork roll, okay? It isn't Taylor ham, it's pork roll. So just remember that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Give me a hand out there. Come on, let me see it. All right, yes. All right,
Yes,
look.
thank you.
With your arms up over there, I can see. All right. That's part of what I do, but this is just stuff that was hanging around. No scripted things, but I love Cranford, New Jersey, and the class of '72.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I just
I
want
see. I'm corny.
Yes, we know. I just want to ask people if they could turn off your microphones, everybody but me and the Wid, because every time you laugh, it steals the picture from
Okay.
people. So if you could turn on your microphones, not you, Mike, you're good. Okay, so
I'm
I
all
have
right?
a few questions for you. You're perfect. You're known as the Legendary Wid. We after 40 plus years of we can all guess why you're legendary, but the moniker Wid we don't understand. Could you tell us the story of how you got that unusual name?
For years and years, I would hitchhike out to the West Coast, okay? Arizona, California. And you were allowed to hitchhike back then because there were a lot fewer maniacs that would kill you and throw you into a Salvation Army box, all right? But when I was out there, I was in a place called Needles, California, okay? And Needles, California is sort of on the high desert. Well, I spent 4 days trying to get a ride there. 4 days, okay? I was in, and after a while, the cops picked me up, okay? I was ditching them for a while. I'd hide behind a cactus or something. And then, so they put me in the car. I was 21 years old, and they put me in the car and they said, you got ID? And I said, no, I'm without ID. And they said, oh, you're Wid. I said, yeah, it's Wid. And it sort of stuck with me. And then when people were advertising me at clubs as Wid, nobody knew what that meant. All right. So they put the legendary in front of it. All right. And I guess that stuck. Okay. Mostly legendary people are dead, just like my career.
So, so you were the legendary Wid long before you spent 40 years in Philadelphia.
I was the Wid for a long time.
Right.
Yes.
Mhm.
You know, and it was, is that a train? Yes. Yeah, I was the Wid a long time. Yeah. And then I was rubber band when I was a kid because I was very flexible. I could do the human anchor, rubber man, and different things. High school pet names.
Now, everyone here grew up at the same time and the same place you did. Yet you grew up to be a comedian. Was there something in Cranford that seemed to trigger your comedic talents that growing up somewhere else might not have? And what was it?
Well, I think that we lived in an affluent town, and a lot of the discards were cultural. A lot of the discards were things like, 45 records, okay? If you're single, you know about that. Here's Mickey Mouse with pierced ears, okay? All right, but, and books. I always got books. Look, here's my first joke book, it says, okay? And I would get things like this. And, I was allowed to have a lot more cultural material that had to do with my interests, which was probably jokes and records, And I think that was a big part of it. And the Jumbo store, okay? Everybody remembers the Jumbo store, all right? That was the sensible sort of place to go, for kids from big families. But when I first went to the Jumbo store, I remember I was like in third grade, second grade, and kids were buying these for 79 cents, okay, over at Brown's or, any other of the stores downtown. But when I went to the Jumbo shop, okay, as a 12, 13-year-old, maybe even younger, I got a 78 record of The Furious Face by Donald Duck, okay? The Furious Face for a nickel, okay? I mean, to go from 79 cents to a nickel was a lot of money back then. So I think that I was allowed to almost the trickle-down theory of culture, okay? And I think that it trickled down to my chaotic act right here.
So the fact that Cranford had some money in it and they let it trickle down to you by their discards.
Yeah,
So that's good.
I mean, we were in a very cultural time back then, okay? And, we didn't have the internet, so the way to get educated or self-educated was to, read books and, expand your horizons. And I think that I was saving the books and records for future generations, okay? That's what I thought. I had no idea that the computers were coming. I used to work for Texas Instruments and other computer firms, but I had no idea that personal computers and who knew?
Right. And I also understand that in high school, there was a coach of yours that got you very interested in the use of puns. Did you tell me that story?
What was the older coach's name? Coach
Dan Grayson?
Coach Grayson.
Grayson.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a little long in the tooth when he was actually teaching about athletics, but he was a little punch drunk, and he loved the puns. Okay, he would talk about the puns all the time, and I kind of became his friend through that because I wasn't a jock of all trades. I tried out for the soccer team, and they didn't let me join because my hair was too long. Okay, but that's the truth. But Coach Grayson and I were good friends, and one day he stopped me in the hall. I used to buy at the Jumbo shop. I used to buy vintage clothes, so I had one that had a train going around, okay, on my thing. And he goes, and he comes up to me and he goes, Mr. Baldwin, I can see that you're doing heroin. And I go, what? Heroin? And he goes, I can see you're doing heroin. And he points to the train and goes, yeah, and there's your tracks. Okay. All right. So, I mean, I thought it was for some locomotive that he did that, but he did that just to, put out a pun there. And Mr. Matacola, does anybody remember Mr. Matacola? Yeah. Okay. Mr. Matacola was, he was a gym teacher over at Hillside. Okay. And, he once asked me, because, I was a hippie and everything, he asked me, what's it like to do LSD? And this is like, I said, Coach, it's like getting a touchdown, a basket, and a home run at the same time. Okay. And that's the only thing. And from then on, he called me spaghetti arms and gave me, and let me pass everything.
Very good. And were there any memorable moments in high school that your humor got you noticed by teachers or administrators?
That teachers were what?
They got you, that you got noticed by teachers or administrators in high school because of your humor.
I got noticed because they asked the English teachers, Mr. Marcus, okay, and his lovely wife, Mrs. Marcus. I don't know if they're still alive, but they encouraged me, okay, in different ways, okay. I was in one or two plays. I played the fisherman, flounder, flounder in the sea, prithee hearken unto thee. Okay, who would say that? I mean, but I was in some plays and things, and they understood, my corny humor. Okay, I knew it was corny, but I that's the way I went, and they made me the lookout. Okay, not the lookout, the monitor of the smoking section. Okay, at Cranford High School, we had a smoking section. And I was the monitor, okay? I let more people escape and sneak in, okay? I felt like Hogan's Heroes, It was quite an experience. And a lot of times in return, they knew that I was a junk picker, okay? They knew that I was a hoarder, that I had everything. I remember Mr. Marcus said, oh, if you ever find a Billie Holiday record, okay, bring that into me, okay? So I find a Billie Holiday record, 78, beautiful. And, I presented to him. And I think he presented a C instead of an F, okay? So, it was corrupt, yes.
And
no, I loved it, Mr. Marcus, and there was another one, Mr. Sassy, okay? Mr. Sassy was quite a character, okay? We had a couple character teachers in there.
Did your humor ever get you in trouble in high school? Did it ever get you in trouble in high school?
Now, I'm going to say this, and I hope that there's no hard feelings about this, but Nelson Hearns, okay, when the assassination of Martin Luther King, they let us out, and I said, free at last, and he beat me up. Okay, so honest to God, and my mother took the Girl Scouts to the famous I Had a Dream speech. So we were always very conservative, and my mother had two crushes in the world: the guy who played accordion on Lawrence Welk and John F. Kennedy. All right, that's the only ones.
Good. Was it in school or later on that you realized how much you loved to perform?
You know where it was? Honestly, it was when I first wanted to perform. It was at St. Michael's. We went for a field trip to the Franklin Institute. Okay, Franklin Institute, Science Museum here in Philadelphia. Beautiful. And I was with my class, and a woman was demonstrating, okay, static electricity. So she had you put your hands on the a rubber ball, and because I still have my toe-headed hair, okay, and my hair stood up like this, and everybody applauded, okay, and that in third, second grade, I knew that I like getting applause like that at the Franklin Institute. So I think, and years later, I got to play in a band that I'm in. I'm in a band called the Roddenberries, and we do Star Trek parodies, okay? We played in Las Vegas and different conventions around. But I found that we played in the planetarium there years later. So I think that, I think that it's sometimes fate that puts you wanting to perform, because I was always a little bit shy, and it kind of wore off when I was in New Orleans, okay, like before I was a comedian, but I was selling Lucky Dogs, okay? If you know what Lucky Dogs are, they're hot dogs inside of a hot dog shaped cart that they have on Bourbon Street, okay? Very famous, okay? The Lucky Dog. So I had to become a barker. I was Lucky Dogs, you know. So I lost my sort of shyness to talk to people when I was after a Lucky Dog salesman.
Selling Lucky Dogs, right? Now look, our classmates' careers have as varied as can be. Many of us doing things that, looking back, seemed very predictable. In my mind, you're one of those people. You were always funny and sort of the class clown, right? And I mean that in a nice way and in a good way, because we all enjoyed you being funny. Even though being a comedian is an unusual profession, nobody that knew you in high school would be surprised that you took that path. Tell us about how you actually broke in to the highly competitive world of comedy.
Well, the way you break in is to do it a lot. And I used to own a antique store in New Brunswick, New Jersey. This is way back in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and they had this is how long ago, they had gong shows, okay? A gong show where they, where they would gong you if you were bad, right? So it was in Highland Park. I would take something from the store and use it as a prop and go to this gong show. Well, I went every week for maybe a year, okay? And after that, you learn, what works and what doesn't work. But I was gonged every time. Every time I was gonged, but I didn't lose. They gonged me in a way that, it was, I became a regular, so I wouldn't win. The person who won was always the little girl who sang The Greatest Love of All, okay? Once she sang That Greatest Love of All, okay, everybody knew that she was going to be a winner. So, you have to pay your dues. I ran a lot of open mics in Philadelphia, for years for comedians. They trusted me because I was a prop comic and I couldn't steal their monologues. So I got to teach a lot of people how to overcome that. I didn't teach them the jokes or how to be funny. I taught them like a sergeant. You got to, be clean. Don't say all the time. Little basic things. So it is. You can't really teach a person how to be funny. It's just how to be, how to be normal in show business, and it takes some people some time. It's there's a lot of ego.
I'm sure. So the Gong Show, I imagine, was not a paid performance, right? You didn't get paid to play there, did you?
I got paid to MC, but at the Gong shows you didn't get paid. But
right, that's what I meant.
You didn't
Right.
care. You were excited to get up there on stage. I mean, it's something that is very foreign to you. And after years of doing that, I wanted to do something else, so I started trying to sing. Okay, I'm a tenor with bass habits. Okay, but I tried singing, and I'm singing with the Roddenberrys. You can look them up. The Star Trek thing. I'm not a big Star Trek fan. Okay, I mean I like it, but these people are fanatical who go through that. And I do songs like "Devil in a Blue Shirt" about Spock, and I mock out Star Wars by Darth Vader things, Darth Vader, instead of, but it is, all comedians want to sing and all singers want to be comedians. I mean, it's something that, it's the other side of the, street.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Oh yeah,
Could
when
give us some deets of
when you tell a joke, you get immediate gratification. But when you sing, it takes them like 2 or 3 minutes for them to find out you stink. Okay, it's a little timeline thing there.
Could you tell us something about your first
But because
paid
of,
stand
I
up?
was going to say, because of Cranford, New Jersey, and its affluence and its throwing away of, thing. My mom, she encouraged us to find stuff, and I would find a lot of records and a lot of sheet music, sheet music, of songs and things. And if I found a record, I would make sure I played both sides, to see and find out for myself. And sheet music was just, colorful, beautiful, and, tangible.
What was your first paid stand-up experience?
It was at the Penny Arcade. Remember the Penny Arcade right next door to the White Diamond in it was in Clark, okay? And I was paid, my father took me there. I took stuff off my brother's wall, in his room, and took other stuff. I was maybe 26 or something. And I went over there to Clark, and down in the cellar of the Penny Arcade, that's what they call it. Down in that cellar, my dad, came and washed me, and at the end of my set, I got $35, and my father was blown away. My father was, $35, and you only did like 15 minutes, So that was my first paid gig.
That's
right
great.
over there in Clark.
That's
But
fantastic.
that got me more gigs and more things. It was a very intriguing time. It was the 80s where there was a comedy boom.
So there was people that were in the audience, or there was people in the audience that recognized that you had talent, that you should get more $35 gigs, right?
Well, it's always a mystery. I still get $35 sometimes. That's show business. I'm not going to lie.
So, sometimes even less, like today.
What? What happened here?
I lost
Am I
you.
all
I
right?
lost your video.
There I am.
Oh, there we go.
Here
Yeah,
I am.
now I
Yes,
got you from-
I'm fading to
got a
black
profile.
right there.
You got a profile now, very creative and artistic, or autistic, right? When you were starting out, was there any comic that influenced your comedic style?
Yeah, of course. You got to give it up for, Rip Taylor, who I ended up writing for a little while. But that made me laugh. And just my availability of tangible things, all around the house, like here, the Marilyn Monroe puzzle, right here. Women still puzzle me, but, being able to find artifacts and things like that is, was something that was wonderful for me. And playing down near in Cranford, playing down near the Rawway River, there was nothing I found better than playing, throwing rocks or just playing army or doing, doing what comes out. It was such a nice upbringing down there, in Cranford.
So there was no other comic other than Rip Taylor that influenced the way
Oh,
you
the
wrote
comics.
comedy?
I would say Jonathan Winters. Okay, I didn't like too much Robin Williams. He was too fast for me. I'm a little bit, I'm no jealousy or nothing like that. It was just that I couldn't digest him quick enough. And I think that Jonathan Winters and Rip Taylor were more my type. The comic I like the best, of course, is Bob Hope. Okay, and George Carlin. George Carlin told me one time. He goes, "Wid, do you know the difference between me and you? Because he's real successful and I'm bottom rung." He said, "I write every day." He goes, "I write and I take one puff of marijuana and then I write it again." Okay, so I got that inside there. There's a little dirt,
That's great. So you've mentioned before and you've showed us that you're a prop comic. What led you to the decision to be a prop comic? Because some of the stuff you do, you use props, and some you're a stand-up, regular kind of stand-up comic. What led you to the decision to be a prop comic?
I think I was always a hoarder, always a collector. As a little kid, I had I had thousands of toys and it was through the trickle down theory of trash picking, but also I came from a family of 7 kids. Right next door was Sealy Gatto. Okay, Sealy Gatto. I mean, how lucky is a guy to live next door to a cheerleader? But I mean, I was influenced by the stuff I found and the stuff that was handed down to me. My taste in music is probably from my older brothers and sisters. We all like to pretend we're more mature than we are. I don't know what they do today, though.
Do
Because
you remember the first prop you used?
it was
Do you
yes.
remember your first prop?
Is it here? My first prop was what? Was a cow. Okay, it was a plastic cow from a nativity scene. Okay, and so I would take that up and I would I tell dirty jokes, beef stroganoff, and and I would tell other. I know it's a little thing, but I would say I'm giving 100%, and you're only giving 2%. Okay, and I would milk it from there, and I go, look, a significant udder. Okay, and then I would go ground beef. All right. But that was yes, that big plastic cow was my first prop that that I knew that this was the
And since you still
role.
use that prop, I assume it got the laughs that you thought it would, at least as big a laughs as you thought that it, or hoped that it would, right?
Well, I'd like to mix things up. Okay, I don't just come out there and just go, "Hey, this is this is a mask or this is this thing." I like to tell jokes that I have constructed already, and then use other things that I've never used before, and I find that keeps me going. I also like to either shop or trash pick a new prop every time I perform. So that keeps me, wanting to get up or, and it's, it keeps it fresh for me, and there's always, and now that dad jokes are here, woo! I mean, dad jokes are, I didn't know that I was doing dad jokes all these years. And then all of a sudden it's like yacht rock. Okay. Who heard of yacht rock before it just came in now? I mean, gosh bless Christopher Cross.
I've been to another comic, Carrot. He makes props special to use as act. But in general, You don't do that. You take stuff that's around and you put them together in humorous ways, but you're not making a prop specific for that. Can, can you tell
One or two
us
I make,
something?
one or two I make, and you know, Carrot Top, he did props, and how many monologists are out there? Okay, how many people who you know, the fat guy comedians? How many neurotic comedians? I mean, there each one has like a little genre, especially today. I mean, with Kill Tony, if you see Kill Tony, you'll understand. But everything is accepted today. And I think that prop comedy was, it's ancient, okay? It's ancient. You know, people would use it in vaudeville all the time, especially, you know, during the times of migration to America during the early 1900s. I mean, it was, it translated easier than a routine is to do something visual. And there was a lot of comedians who ran up that. It is something that is, of course, dying out today. People don't want to schlep. Okay, that's a little word I use. No, they don't want to, you know, schlep, and it's looked down upon. Being a prop comic is looked down upon as, you know, as a sin. You know, Richard Belzer said it's like carrying your brain around in a paper bag, okay? And it's looked down upon. But I was sort of a rebel, and I kind of dug that it was looked down upon. Okay, I never had an agent or something like that to give me, you know, I was always very lackadaisical about what I was doing. And Carrot Top came along, and he was a great guy. I know him and hang out with him sometime. Great guy, you know, and he can tell me things that you know, that I haven't you know, thought of, and I vice versa. One of my influences was a guy called Lenny Schultz. Lenny Schultz, and he was on. There's a famous video of him throwing spaghetti in his face, and he was a big time prop comic. He was on Laugh In 2, okay? So, and he would, they would say, "Go crazy, Lenny, go crazy." And he would go crazy using the props in a very fast and musical way. But I was on Make Me Laugh for 3 years. That show it was on Comedy Central. I was on there for 3 years, and after a while, you know, you're looking for material because you're on there 3 years, and you put a person in a chair and you try to make them laugh. And I was pretty good at it because you know, this is for the people who have short attention spans a lot of time. And, you know, I'll admit it. I mean, I have it myself. And, but they put together Lenny Schultz and I, okay? Lenny Schultz, they Go Crazy Lenny. He had people like Jimmy Stewart and Richard Nixon saying that on Laugh-In 2. Go Crazy Lenny. So it was an honor for me to work with this man, Lenny Schultz. Look him up, and you'll laugh a lot. And he was one of my influences too. But I was doing it before I knew any of these guys, except, of course, Rip Taylor.
So you have a tremendous amount of props that you've accumulated for many, many years, and somehow you take a look at one prop or a combination of props, and you see something humorous in them. Most people wouldn't see that humor. Can you tell us about the creative process that goes into how you figure out what you're going to say about props that are just scattered on the floor, and you relate them in ways that those of us that have your talents, explain to us the creative process if you can.
Well, it happens both ways. It happens that you write before you get the prop, or you get the prop and you write something for it. It's I go out and forge one of the main one of the main criteria of picking a prop, for me, is that it doesn't break. Okay, I've broken, hundreds of objects and clubs and things like that in my wilder days. Okay, in my wilder days, I was pretty rambunctious, bull in a china shop, throwing things around, and I did it for comedic effect, at a time when adrenaline and sweat and I was scared. So a lot of times, the creative process is, like I said, every day or every show, I tried to find something new. I tried to maybe elaborate. I tried to put two different props together, here's a Ken doll, okay, and it has a Pizza Hut on there, and right over there, and here's, the world's smallest, pizza delivery, and I used to go to an audience member, come on, you want a piece of this? You want a piece of, and then I would go, here's an Italian laptop, okay, and and right over there. But comedy is like the pizza business. You got to have good delivery. Okay, sorry. But things came together in different ways. It's not always a process, but when you have to do it, when you got to put your nose to the grindstone, I'm technophobe. I only made my first email like 3 years ago, and I never had a computer. I have my phone. But that's about it. And so I'm afraid of the microphone sometimes, because I was in the antique business, I saw everything has its expiration date. When I was a young man and I first saw a computer, the computers with the cards in it and, the old old-fashioned ones, that sort of taught me a life lesson of, everything, has its expiration date. Also working in Cranford at the Cranford Health and Extended Care Center, okay, I got to see that growing old is a privilege, and and that we should respect it and go with it. And a lot of people, think that it's something that should be frowned upon, and yet we have so much to be thankful for these days. Okay, we can watch any sitcom, okay, the entire season that we grew up with. Okay, we can see things that were only available to the richest people out there. And the only thing that I was ever jealous of when I was growing up is that I heard in maybe the early 80s or something that Elton John had 5,000 VHS tapes. 5,000 VHS tapes. I thought, man, oh man. I think we had two for years, and one of them was the Cuckoo's Nest. Okay, and how many times can you watch that? But I think that that's why I still today collect VHSs. And
Now, you were explaining before about how prop comics are kind of lower on the totem pole.
oh yes, the lowest.
Right. And I just wanted to tell you that I see comics in two ways. They're either funny or they're not funny. And that I respect anybody that can make people laugh, and the creative process that it takes to either do political satire or to do routine stand-up or to see a bunch of junk laying in the floor and see something funny there. So at least for me, and I don't know how it is for our classmates, I don't, as Rodney Danger said, you don't get no respect, but I think you should. Now, you've been a Philadelphia resident for over 40 years now.
Yeah.
Is there something special now about Philly that helps to shape the comedic style that you have? Or
Well,
is this just something you've taken it to Philly and haven't been really affected by Philly so much?
Well, Philadelphia, I first moved here is because from the banks of the Delaware, you could see New Jersey. Okay. But no. And it was I tried living in New York, and Philadelphia was a little bit more accepting and inexpensive and permissive. Okay. It was, and historic, it has a lot of neighborhoods, a lot of, diversity, a lot of, things to do. Like any big time concert in New York, most of the time stops here first, and it's a little bit more accessible. And I've snuck into the Rolling Stones three times here. I've snuck into the hundreds of plays and things like that. And I found it a little bit more, a little bit friendlier, okay, than New York. Okay, New York is a lot of competition. People are running a little bit too fast, and and of course New York is beautiful. Of course it's number one. Of course everybody. I worked on Times Square for a while, Caroline's, when it had a theme bar. Okay, and to be in New York maybe 20 years ago, before they put the they wouldn't let traffic go through. They only had pedestrians. Before that, I would Caroline's was right in Times Square. And I used to worry about, parking and all this. 80% of the time I would drive up to Times Square, I'd find a parking space in front of where I was. And it was like, a lot of people demonized New York at that time. It was just a little bit too fast for me, and I found down here it went a little bit slower. And I think as I get older, I'll move to Garwood because that's the slowest of them all.
So you fit into Philly is what you're saying. You fit in well.
Philadelphia has treated me real nice, okay? And it is, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of history here. I'm a big history buff, and when you talk about antiques, this is where they made the antiques. I mean, Philadelphia is antique central, so you get that like sort of. I like that sort of visual stimuli that comes from searching and looking around. They say the search is always the biggest part of a collector, and it's sort of that way with me too. I collect postcards, I collect old newspapers, I collect lunch boxes, I collect toys. But I'm a hoarder. I not only use my stuff in my act, I also make art with it. I make dioramas using broken toys and things like that. And I have an environmental message, and it is to recycle plastic. And because 90% of the toys, out there are plastic. And plastic is the big villain of the environmental villains now. It's because of the micro plastics.
Mike, I've gotten word that there's some other folks here that would love to ask you some questions.
Well, look, see?
So,
Or is it that way?
QA, right, QA.
Okay.
Right.
Here's a vowel movement. All right.
If whoever would like to ask would raise their hand, and we'll be reckoning. Okay, Pat.
If I owe anybody money, I don't have it right now. Okay.
So Pat would like to ask a question. First, you have to unmic your to turn your mic on.
Todd, can I just say one thing? If everybody else would mute, let Pat talk, because what happens when we're in speaker view and I'm recording, I see your face. So if you don't mind muting yourself, and then Pat's going to start us off with questions. Thank you for the recording.
What?
Am I on mute?
Oh, to repeat the question.
And the president came toward the grounds of Windsor Castle and carriages,
Hold on. And then somebody, you need to mute yourself because we hear your television in the background, whoever that is. Okay. So mute yourself, please.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Pat, you're on.
Okay, Mike, can you hear me?
Yeah,
How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You remember me at all?
I can't even see you.
Can he see me? Can he see me?
Oh, yes, I can now.
Oh, okay. Do you remember? I mean, I don't look the same. You certainly don't look the same. I remember you in high school. You don't look the same. We went to junior high together.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Did I carry your books?
No. We weren't that close.
Okay.
Nice try. But do you remember back around 69, 70, going to a Sly and the Family Stone concert?
Thank you for letting me almost remember that. Okay. Yes, I do. And Sly and the Family Stone are one of my favorite ever. Okay. It was a pity what happened to him. He ended up living in a van. I guess that's what drugs will do. But
Listen, I can't explain this. All right. You know how you have some memories that never get out of your head? And I have a memory, and we weren't really friends. Okay. I mean, I knew who you were, but we weren't really friends. But I have a memory of you. And the memory is this. We were standing in a hallway. You were down the hall. We were near our lockers. And you start carrying on with somebody about the concert you saw. And you just keep singing, I Want to Get You Higher. And I really, that was one of my favorite songs. And I had their album. So it stuck in my head. Why? For 50 years? I have no idea. But I'm just saying, so you remember going to that concert?
yes, I do.
And yeah, it's funny. I only have a couple of memories of you, but I remember you. But that stuck in my head.
Well, songs
Go figure that.
Songs will always bring back memories, you know. And I've always been a sneaker inner. Okay, to concerts. I've the Grateful Dead. I'd sneak in 10 times. The Rolling Stones. Mel Torme, I snuck into a couple times.
Mel Torme, Jesus.
Don't be jealous. Okay, but
not jealous of that one. Jesus Christ.
I know he's.
Oh my God.
He hasn't been relevant.
Well, anyway, that was my one question. If that memory was a real memory or just something stuck in my head, and the answer is
it was
okay.
It was a real memory, and
all right. Okay.
I think I saw him at the Schaefer music festival that was always in Central Park at the Wolin skating rink. Okay, and
what year? Do you remember what year that was? That album came out 69, 70.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's when I was 16, 17, right? I should be into the music of the day, you know. And I never liked Jimi Hendrix until I got older, though. You know, I was always scared of him. I like the middle of the road music, you know, the stuff that was Murray the K or somebody of a credible DJ would play. You know, the top 40. It's not there anymore.
Anyway, I don't want to take up more
Sly
time.
was above that. Sly was above that. You know who his biggest fan was?
Thanks, Joanne.
His biggest fan was the horn player.
Herb Albert?
No, not him.
Louis?
Black horn, but Miles Davis. Okay.
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis wrote in this book about Sly and how influential it was for him.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, brother.
I can't believe that you remember Murray the K. That was
Murray-
just a big flashback for me.
Murray the K, because I met Cousin Brucey, Murray Kaufman, who's, would take, he took everybody out on the road on the, Murray the K. Ave, ho, ave, ho. I mean, Murray the K was, his mother helped Bobby Darin write Splish Splash. I was taking a bath. So Murray was the fifth Beatle. Right over here, it says, help stamp out the Beatles. And right here is Abbey, I'm not going to take it out of, but Abbey Road, this is Abbey Road 8-track, okay? We remember 8-tracks, we had them in 72. But that's, music, we always triggered those memories. And Murray the K, I mean, we were young, and that's when the music influenced us the most.
Yeah, I remember my sister went and I guess it was like American Bandstand, like she danced, like they would get high school kids to come and dance on the show. I think it was in Newark. I'm not sure where it was.
Well, the one that got them all to dance was Dick Clark, okay? How did I have that? I don't know. But Dick Clark, yes, okay. And Dick Clark, started in Wildwood, New Jersey. Don't let him think that he started in Philadelphia. He started in Wildwood, New Jersey, the birthplace of rock and roll. All right, but I remember the dances, the CYO dances, CYO. You can hear my accent, right? CYO.
Does anybody else have any questions? Raise your hand and we will, okay, Tom?
Yep. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Tom.
How are you?
I am, I'm quite unquestionably, I'm feeling pretty good today because I'm seeing some nice faces and being asked questions that I haven't thought about in a long time. And Tom, I know you're going to keep that up too.
I got one more for you.
What's that?
I'm still looking for Karen Boyle. Do you know where she is?
She's under a different name right now, and she's called Karen Boyle. If you didn't know, a lovely girl, was my girlfriend for a while and everything. Went on to fame as a exotic dancer and a friend of Springsteen, and she introduced me to Clarence Clemens, and was a lovely person. And Tom, she's out there on YouTube as the Groovy Grandmother. Okay,
The Groovy Grandmother.
the Groovy Grandmother. She and her significant other, they do weird and wild sort of YouTube videos. Okay. She's the something grandmother, the granny, but she's under a different name now that I don't know if she owes money to people, so I don't want to say it.
I'll try Granny Grandmother.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I'll send it. I'll send it. To the class of '72, and when I find out. But one of the first times I ever told jokes was with Karen Boyle and her go-go dancing partner at the down the shore in Asbury Park at the Stone Pony. You go, how about that for an accent? At the Stone Pony, I was dressed up as a Boy Scout, and as they took their clothes off, they would throw it at me. And the song was from How to Marry a Millionaire or something. Take back the mink, take back the pearls. I'm not one of those kind of girls. And they would because I was a junk picker, I had a perfect Scoutmaster outfit on, right? So at the end of the night, I'm there and I get all the stuff and I tell a couple jokes, and we're driving, just about to drive home, and the police pull us over. And I didn't have a license then. I was, 24, 25. I didn't have a license, and the girls were smashed. I remember they were drinking gin, and they're go-go dancers. And the cop pulled us, and he looked at me in the back, and he said, I said, sir, because I wasn't drinking. Sir, I'm just coming home from a meeting, and the boys were all okay, bullshit. So he let me drive because the girls were too drunk. Okay, and if that could happen today, okay, this would be a much more paranoid country.
Well, thank you for that information.
No, but she's actually out there, and she shows her close-ups of her face, and she still has beautiful skin and all this. She's bragging about it. And
where does she live? Do you know?
I have no idea, but I know it is somewhere on the West Coast. It might be, Washington, Oregon, something like that. I didn't ask. I didn't want to. I'm. If she changed her name, I don't know if. If
all right, I'll check it out. Groovy grandmother.
Yeah. It's something. Yeah, psychedelic grandmother or something like that.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
It's not today's grandmother. All right. I know she liked you. You were a good man. You're a good man. You were good friends with her.
Yeah, I was good friends with her. And I've always said to myself, where did she go? No high school reunions? No.
I'm going to tell her that you were looking for her because she'll be good. Right.
All right.
Are you grandfather
Joyce,
yet?
did you have something you wanted to ask? I thought she did. No?
Hey, Michael, I got a question.
Oh,
Yeah.
When did you leave St. Michael's?
St. Michael's, I left. I loved St. Michael's. It gave me a moral barometer, okay? And it taught me how to write in cursor, okay? And one of my favorite memories there is when I was like first grade, second grade, is that the nuns confiscated the Barbie dolls from the girls. I've never saw a mass hysteria bigger than when, it stuck with me. It was like, being there for, a historic event because, and they were real, and they would sneak them in, right? They would sneak the Barbies in and be playing with them. And they, the nuns would come up and go, no can do. And they would, they would take away the Barbie dolls. But St. Michael's was a wonderful time for me. And it gave me that moral barometer. But the Catholic Church, they allowed the nuns to stay a little bit too long. I had in third grade, I had a nun who was obviously worse than Joe Biden. Okay, she was very delusional, and and we had to. What I did, I would clean kids' desks for a dime. Okay. Or two BB bats. Okay, remember they gave us BB bats. I got the fillings to prove it, but that was a big thing. But I stayed back in third grade. Okay, so that was part of it. And then
did you have Mrs. O'Donnell on the stage in fourth grade?
Yes, she lived right across the street.
We're probably in the same class because I think I had ADHD and I was terrible in Catholic school. And I was so grateful when my mom removed us to public school.
Well, I kind of, like I said, it gave me that, I look back and it gave me that moral barometer. It gave me a religion to go to, and it gave me an education that they didn't have in public school. When I got to public school, I went to Hillside through the tunnel. And when I went to Hillside, it was, I was smarter than I was in, fifth grade in Catholic school. It was, they were a little more strict with your learning. And so I got into the habit of doing my homework.
Well, good for you.
Nuns, the
I had
nuns
a
would,
different experience. That's
yeah, and my brothers and sisters went there. I had 6 brothers and sisters, so we were always, and the walk home was always great because I would walk home either through the train station or along the banks of the beautiful Rahway River. Okay, and so I have very fond memories of that. I can tell you the worst thing was confession. Okay, because
Bless my father for I said it's been
yeah,
25 years is my last confession.
But when they relieved that, okay, and then they said you could eat meat on Friday. Wow, I mean, the whole thing's changed. But I like that it gave me it gave me a spiritual sense. I'm of course a lax Catholic. I don't, but I'm like glad it's there. I'm sure that a lot of people feel that way.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, I have just a couple of more things to add.
Uh-oh.
First of all, do you still feel you've performed hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times? Do you still feel nervous when you get up to perform?
Every time. You got to feel nervous because of the logistics of my act, a lot of times, I have to go last no matter what. And there's different types of comedy. And sometimes you get the crowd, too wind up before you go on. So you have to, or everybody in front of you didn't do a good job. So you got to do a good job. There's pressure on it, but it's a good kind of stress because you feel like, that you're, accomplishing something by, thinking this out, understanding the audience, being a little bit, you got to cater to the people who are out there. And yeah, I get nervous, okay, every time. But then, like 4 jokes in, you get cocky.
Do you feel more, less, or the same amount of nervousness when you're performing for people that you know, like your classmates? Is that a comfortable feeling, or is it a little less comfortable?
No, it's very uncomfortable for people.
Or is it the same?
You can insult people you don't know, okay? You can't insult people you know. They won't laugh, okay? And they're very judgmental in a different way than a regular audience. They already know a different side of you. And, when I do my act, I appear, a little bit off in a ADD sort of way, some sort of thing. They wanted to give me Ritalin, and I didn't take it. So, but at one time I thought I was Tom Jones, and that's not unusual though. But it's the kids don't get that one. But it is something that if you want to do a good job, you got to be nervous. You don't got to be. There's some people who just. But I think being from a big family, you don't want to showboat all the time. You know what I mean? And so it's a little more difficult to get into that different mood. Now, I haven't drank in 15 years, 16 years, but I do things that are like drinking before I go on sometimes to alleviate the nervousness. A lot of time, a Diet Coke, or the thing that I found is the best is to put a little hot sauce right there and lick that just before you go on, and you get into a different head. And I found out later that football players do the same thing, but they do it with like smelling salts or something like that. It's to get into that different head. It's if you're not schizophrenic, it's it's hard to, it's hard to be two people. So you got to be one person, and then you become that other person. You become that comedian. If you're on all the time, you're obnoxious. But Judge Judy's always right.
I
And
think
my,
that when you perform for your class,
My
we
parents
all
were,
want you to go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, my parents were circus clowns, okay? So those were some big shoes to fill. But no, my parents were.
When you perform for your classmates, we all want you to do well, and we all expect that you will do well. So we come into it with the right attitude, ready to laugh and have a good time with you. So I was just curious if you felt that as well. I want to share something with the class that I doubt that too many people know about you, is that you've acted in motion pictures. In fact, I rented one of your motion pictures just a couple of weeks ago. In 2022, you did Sleep, Walk, Kill, right?
Yes, I did. And I watched it and I ruined the movie. Okay. I was bad. Okay.
No.
I'll admit it. I'm no Charles Boyer. Okay. But
I'll tell you what I thought was, and it was an hour and a half movie. This was a full-length motion picture.
oh yeah, they showed it at festivals and stuff.
Yeah, and I would say you were as good as everyone else in the picture.
Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
I've always been the biggest.
It was an unusual flex, but your acting was just as good. So wondering, would you like to do more of that?
Well, sure. And I do a podcast, and that's sort of almost the same thing as doing a movie, except that it's a little more tedious, and people are a little bit more serious when you're doing a movie, and it's like doing television or a movie. What I do is is pretty much a solo sort of effort. And when you work on in a group, and especially movies, there's 10 other people you have to you have to watch out for, and and be courteous and be kind, and hope they don't fire you. But I've always been the biggest movie fan. My mom used to let me stay home and watch the early show or whatever it was when people like Fred Astaire, because before VHSs there was no other way to see it, and I used to like Fred Astaire or Busby Berkeley or those musicals that you couldn't see when you were when you were growing up. Okay. And so I would say, Mom, I don't feel good, and she goes, I know that there's a movie. So my mother was an enabler of truants. Okay, I was pretty truant during my junior high years, especially.
Well, we've gotten through the questions that I have for you, and now I'd like to turn this over back to Joanne, who will do her thing.
Joanne,
Your answers are fantastic, Mike. I really feel that the class knows you better than we did before, and we got a look into your world.
Well, I'm telling you right now, that laughter you get almost every show, somebody comes up to me and goes, "Oh, I really needed that. That was it." And you get people saying, "Oh, since my husband died, I haven't," And that is sort of not only an ego boost, but you get a boost in the way of humanity. I mean, I could have been a politician or a history teacher or something like that. I would have, pursued that. But once you get hooked on making other people happy, it's a hard habit to break. Here I am. I'm almost 50 now. And well, I'm almost 50 now, and I find it I find it very therapeutic. At one time I taught laughter yoga. Okay, laughter yoga is when you make yourself laugh without really being funny. That the laughter comes from that. There's prompts to it. You know, you go, all right, let's start the chainsaw, and you go, yeah, yeah, and you laugh and you let it out. And there's you do it for everybody, you know, that they get a little bit chemistry changes in you, your lung capacity, you know, and it's a very good mood elevator, and I've taught it to every type of different person, you know, prisoners and policemen and people, and they all received you know, the benefits of that. So when I administer, I don't care what rung of show business I'm on. I mean, obviously, but to make those people laugh, that's my goal. And I think that, you know, that it's been very beneficial to me.
And to that end, I think you've earned a big round of applause from us all.
All right, yes.
You won't be able to hit
Yes.
everybody, but I think we
I want golf claps. Golf claps. Thank you for putting this together. That was very nice, guys and gals. All right.
You
Mike.
were absolutely
Wait, hold on,
amazing.
Mike, don't leave.
Oh,
Awesome.
sorry.
What did I do?
I wanted to know where you perform.
I perform a lot of times these days, okay, at breweries and wineries, okay?
In
There are-
Philadelphia? In Philadelphia?
All around the Philadelphia. I don't travel too much anymore with the, you know, it's just as lucrative to stay around here. And I have warehouses filled of stuff that I have to go through. Okay, it's horrendous. Okay, I mean warehouses filled with my collections, because when I would go out on the road or the different towns, I would buy stuff from thrift stores during the day, and then I would hoard it, you know, into giant things. Other people have had the same problem, but you know,
Yeah.
I try to use the things that I buy are mostly for artwork or for doing my act, and you know, I find it very rewarding. You know, I got you know, my dream has come true. I have over 5,000 VHSs. Okay, and so Elton John, you know,
That's nothing on
might be
you,
jealous of
okay?
me.
So listen, Nona has a last question for us, or a last comment, and then we want to take our group picture and a couple other odds and ends. Go ahead, Nona.
Thanks, Mike. Mike, I'm over here in Voorhees. Like, where can I find out, like, where you're performing? If you're saying you're at the breweries and wineries in Center City, or are you over in the Philly side?
You know what? They're beautiful. Okay. There's one specific guy who books all the, you know, he goes to all the different, you know, wine breweries and stuff, but most of them are in nice rural places. And, you know, it's country that I've never seen, you know, within a couple hours of Philadelphia. That is like a vacation to me. Since I don't drink, I get to walk around and, you know, and pass my time that way, being a tourist or being, you know, a curious person. And I always like to see where the magic happens. Okay, where did they press the wine? Where did they brew the brew? You know, I like to see the mechanics of it. And
we have
and
a
the people
winery here. Okay, we have a winery here in Voorhees called Saddle Hill. So if you're ever coming here, I'd like to know, because I can get over there and see you. So
I'll sneak you in. I'll sneak you in.
Do you have a web page, Facebook page, Instagram?
I have Facebook, the Legendary Wid. Okay, and
Okay.
I have two, and Michael Baldwin,
Well,
okay.
yes.
my real
Okay,
name,
guys. So everyone, if you're not friend
on
him,
Facebook. Yes,
and then look up the Legendary Wood. So, Michael, you were amazing tonight. I was hysterical for an hour and a half. I just kept laughing and laughing. I muted myself, and everybody else was the same. You probably couldn't see us all, but it was really amazing. So we're going to record this, put it on our our YouTube channel, and I think I echo everyone here tonight is thank you for.
Hey, you know what? We have common bonds, okay, which are very hard to find these days, all right? We all have, the world was a little bit smaller, and, you know, and our personal lives were a little bit more close, okay? It wasn't just all on, you know, I love Facebook and I love the other, but in order to see people that I knew before computers is something. And we got to play outside. That was the best part, okay?
Oh,
we got to play outside, and we only had slam books, okay? Remember the slam books, okay? You know, everybody would write what they thought. That was, I guess, the precursor to what's happening these days.
So listen, everybody, I'm smiling. I look at everybody just smiling. Let's take a nice picture for her because this is a great night.
Okay.
Taking a couple. Smile. Come on, Michael, look at the camera. Come on there, you.
Well, I don't want to. Here, I got to look a little bit.
I got my pictures.
Yeah.
I got, oh, now. I just keep laughing.
This is my homage to Robert Redford. All right.
Oh, so what a great night. Gosh,
Thank you, my
you
friend.
so much because you for an hour and a half you were on, and we all appreciate it. And Todd, you did a wonderful job facilitating tonight.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Todd.
you also. And let's look forward to our next event, and we just got to, keep this.
I'll join in as a spectator next time. It's
Oh yeah, good. You can. Hey, you can be the opening act.
I'm there.
Oh,
But it looks, I love it. It's like watching the beginning of the Brady Bunch all night. Okay.
Okay,
that was the one.
I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks so much, everyone. I'm going to stop.